In the highlands of North Sumatra, hidden between winding roads, mist-covered hills, and generations of untold struggle, there is a place most people have never heard of. Pamatang Raya, not Jakarta, not Medan, not a city filled with skyscrapers, flashing lights, or endless traffic, just Raya, a quiet land once known only as a farming district, a homeland of the Simalungun people, a place where the soil fed families long before power ever arrived, a place built not by wealth but by endurance. For decades, the people of Raya woke before sunrise, walked fields soaked with rain, carried harvests on tired shoulders, and lived far away from the attention of the nation. This was not a place people dreamed about. This was a place people passed through without stopping. Yet beneath its silence, Raya carried history in its blood. This land was once part of the ancient authority of the Saragih clan. Every hill, every road, every corner of Raya held memories older than modern Indonesia itself. The spirit of ancestors still lingered in the earth. But history alone does not build a future. Around 2008, something changed. The capital of Simalungun Regency was officially moved from Siantar to Raya. On paper, it sounded monumental, a new capital, a new era, a new beginning. But reality was painful. The government offices remained in Siantar. The regent's office stayed behind. Development barely moved. Roads were broken. Infrastructure was weak. Migration into Raya was almost non-existent. People outside the region still barely knew the name Raya. It was a capital only in documents, a title without transformation. And for many years, Raya remained trapped between what it was and what it was supposed to become. Then came a turning point. Under the leadership of Jopinus Ramli Saragih, widely known as J.R. Saragih, Raya finally began to breathe like a real capital. Government offices moved, administrative centers relocated, roads began to improve. Construction slowly rose from the ground where emptiness once stood. Buildings appeared where there had only been silence. For the first time, people could actually see change. Schools that once stood as fragile, semi-permanent structures were rebuilt into permanent institutions. Children who once studied in worn-out classrooms suddenly had walls that looked toward the future instead of the past. And then something almost unimaginable happened. A university rose from the soil of Raya, Universitas Eferina. In a town many outsiders still considered too small, too rural, too unknown, higher education planted its flag. Knowledge arrived where limitations once ruled. Hope arrived where expectations had been low for generations. That is how transformation begins, not with miracles, not with headlines, but with one building, one road, one classroom, one decision at a time. And slowly, the outside world began to notice. National figures stepped onto the land of Raya. Former state-owned enterprises minister Dahlan Iskan visited. Famous Indonesian artists and bands came to perform. Crowds gathered. Music echoed through a town that had once felt invisible. Judika stood on stages in Raya. Wali brought energy to its nights. Republic performed before audiences who once believed no one would ever come. To outsiders, these may seem like ordinary events, but to the people of Raya, they were proof. Proof that forgotten places can still rise. Proof that small towns can still dream. Proof that history does not end with poverty, isolation, or neglect. Because Raya is more than a town. It is a symbol of quiet resilience. Long before development arrived, the land of Simalungun had already carved its name into history. This was the land where the Simalungun people resisted Dutch colonial forces under the leadership of Raja Rondaheim Saragih. This was also among the early regions where Protestant Christianity spread across Simalungun through the German missionary August Tace, who journeyed into Batak lands carrying faith across unfamiliar mountains and cultures. Raya carries all of it: the struggle, the faith, the resistance, the patience, the rebuilding. And maybe that is why so many people still misunderstand it. Even today, many outside North Sumatra still associate Simalungun with Siantar. Raya remains overlooked, rarely mentioned, rarely celebrated. It does not dominate national conversations. It does not appear in glossy tourism campaigns. But greatness is not always loud. Sometimes greatness grows slowly in places nobody is watching. Sometimes the most powerful stories come from roads the world forgot to map. And maybe one day, people across Indonesia will finally realize that the future is not built only in massive cities. Sometimes it is built in quiet towns surrounded by farmers, history, and hope. Sometimes it is built in Raya,